Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're taking a look at something pretty interesting. This is the Sony Xperia Z5 Premium. Now, this is part of Sony's flagship lineup, and on paper, it pretty much delivers everything you'd expect from a high-end Android phone. You're getting a 23 megapixel camera on the back, a Snapdragon 810 processor, Adreno 430 graphics, 3 gigabytes of RAM, and a 3400 milliamp hour battery. All of that packed inside a clean, minimal metal body with IP68 water resistance. Very clean, very simple, very Sony. Now, yeah, the volume button placement is still a bit unusual, but that's not really the highlight here. The real question is, what actually makes this phone premium? Well, it all comes down to the display. On the front, you've got a 5.5-inch 4K IPS panel with a pixel density of over 800 pixels per inch, and that's seriously high. To put it into perspective, 4K here means 3840 by 2160 resolution, which is exactly 4 times 1080p. So yeah, that's a lot of pixels on a smartphone. In fact, this is one of the first phones to bring a 4K display into a device like this. But here's the interesting part. It doesn't actually run everything in 4K all the time. Most of the UI, apps, and general usage are rendered at 1080p. Even screenshots come out in 1080p. And that's actually intentional. It helps reduce strain on the GPU and saves battery life. But when you open certain content, like high-resolution images or 4K videos, that's when the display switches into full 4K mode, and you can actually notice that transition. There's a slight delay, and then suddenly, everything looks a bit sharper, more detailed, more refined. Textures pop, fine details become clearer. It's subtle, but definitely there. So naturally, the big question is, can you actually tell the difference? So I tested it in a few different ways. First, at a normal viewing distance, just holding the phone at arm's length, comparing it to another high-end display. And honestly, it's really hard to see any major difference, even side by side. And that's because at that distance, your eyes can only resolve a certain level of detail. Most modern smartphones are already sharp enough that pixels are basically invisible. So then I tried getting closer, much closer. And even then, the difference is still very minimal. You really have to look carefully, almost zoom in with your eyes to start noticing anything, which isn't how most people use their phones. But then I took it one step further, using a macro lens, basically looking at the display under extreme magnification. And now you can finally see where that 4K resolution makes a difference. Fine textures, small lines, detailed patterns, they all appear sharper and more defined. Even the subpixel structure is different, with a unique pattern that you normally wouldn't notice. But again, this is under extreme conditions, not real-world usage. So at the end of the day, if you're using this phone normally, are you going to notice that 4K display advantage? Probably not, at least not most of the time. And that's because the phone is designed to balance performance and efficiency. It only uses full 4K when it actually matters. The rest of the time, it keeps things optimized, which is actually a smart move, because running full 4K constantly would impact battery life and performance. And this really highlights something important. At this level, resolution alone doesn't define a great display. Things like color accuracy, brightness, contrast, viewing angles, those make a bigger difference in daily use. But still, having a 4K display in a smartphone is a pretty impressive achievement. It shows where things are heading. And while this might not be a full-time 4K experience, it's definitely a step in that direction. So yeah, it's cool, it's interesting, it's impressive, but it's not necessarily the main reason to pick up this phone. That said, overall, this is still a really solid device. Clean design, good performance, and a unique feature that sets it apart. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.